We got a special treat today, CLS Family. Buckle up on the record breaking podcast episode from this week with the one and only legendary, iconic mindset guru, Dr. Mike Gervais. Everybody, you know the drill. Brain on, popcorn ready, grab the journals. Let's have some fun, let's get nuts. Everybody's out today. Jesse, Keith, Isaac, Jerry, Dave, Alex, everybody's out. Yes. This is unbelievable. How you guys doing today? We're going to get Dr. Mike on in just a second. Okay. I see you're all... Dr. Mike, I'm going to bring you on right now. Drop in the comments some questions for Dr. Mike. You're going to want to tap into this. There he is. Dr. Mike.
What's good, man?
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to hear your voice, too.
It's good to see you. And the podcast episode that we did, that was a special moment for me. It was more than like an interview. It was such an intimate conversation, and it's no secret as to why it broke records on our show this week. And just so much love and respect for you, and so excited to connect with you here again today.
No way, man. That is awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know that you know what you're talking about. And so, we went to places I normally don't go, and it was great.
And that's what it's all about. And let me just start off by saying congratulations on episode 300 of Fun.
Hey, how about it?
That's awesome.
How about it? Let me fix my audio. Yeah, 300 is really cool.
When did you start the podcast? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? For some reason, I can't hear you, Dr. Mike. Can you hear me? You'll never lose me. Can you hear me okay? He's back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah.
You can never lose me, ever.
Yeah, good, man. No, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the noting of the 300th episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And nobody deserves it more. And I know that in the grand scheme of things, you're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, it feels that way. It's ditto to you. I think that the medium that we're both on right now, this podcasting is really fun. It's a fun medium. It's crowded. It's competitive in lots of ways. And at the same time, there's a second career, if you will, that you have, which is the main career, which is like doing good for other people, sharpening their sword or helping them sharpen their sword.
Yeah, 100%. And the CLS audience is so engaging, and they already fell in love with you. So they have some questions. So we're going to dive right in. You ready to rock?
I am. And hey, real quick, like your community is strong. Like the engagement you guys get on social is evidence of how much you pour yourself into them. So vice versa. So yeah, let's go.
Thank you so much for that acknowledgement, Dr. Mike. Everybody loving the way you articulate flow state, and it makes so much sense, people. They want a little bit of advice or suggestions how you can on purposely infiltrate or initiate being in that flow state.
Okay. That's a good question, and it's a tricky question. And the reason it's tricky is because you can't wake up in the morning and say like, okay, today's my day. I'm going to flow today. It's actually a fundamental way that you organize your life. And when you organize your life, and I'm going to talk about fundamental commitments toward it, that you end up accidentally on purpose slipping into flow state more often than maybe you did before. So it's a designed accident, and that designing is where you are in control. And so how do you design it? One is you have to fundamentally make a commitment to yourself that you're going to get to the edges of your capabilities on a regular basis. So you're going to find when you make that fundamental commitment, you're going to push up to the upper limits of your threshold where flow takes place. Okay. If you don't make that fundamental commitment, your brain's going to win, and you're going to retract. You're going to find a sense of smallness, safety. You're going to get agitated and irritated and scared, overwhelmingly scared, when things aren't going according to plan. So the opposite of that, the fundamental commitment I'm talking about, is when you're making a commitment to get to the upper edges of your capability. That means you don't know how it's going to go. So there's danger, there's risk, and you're like, listen, this is where I'm designed to be. This is how I've organized my life. So when you get up into that place, there's an aliveness that comes with it, as opposed to this overwhelming fear or frustration. Because at the edges of your capabilities, you're not very good unless you find that space where it's like, yes, and I dropped into it. That's what flow state is. The second capability that we must embrace is deep focus. So deep focus is how we enter into flow state when we're at the edge. All right. And then the third component is knowing that you have the internal skills to be able to meet the moment for whatever is unfolding. And it doesn't mean that you're going to win or be successful or have it all work out the way you want it to be, but it means you have the skills to at least wrestle and make sense of it. And the second part of that is that you've got the internal ability to say, if it doesn't go according to plan, I'm okay. Like, I'm still okay. So you make these fundamental commitments for deep focus, getting into the edges of your capabilities, and knowing that you're going to be okay, independent of how it goes. Because the going for it matters more than the output. And those are three of the fundamental commitments to make.
I'm laughing right now because I love you, buddy. I could do this for 10 hours. And I and we're like talking about this, like stimulating our brain on stuff like this, and just understanding how like we're not a victim of circumstance. Like if we can dictate our inner experience, as you like to say, then everything opens up. And in regards to what you were just talking about, flow state, another thing that you said that kind of segues into it is confidence and being calm is a
Yeah.
skill set that can be developed, and once developed, then being on in those edge of capabilities might not seem so stressful as if you didn't develop those skills, right?
Yeah. So those are core capabilities that come with it. Is that, to your point, is that calm is a skill. Like knowing how to generate a sense of calmness in any environment is really important. And we call it in sport, we call it front loading. So you front load that psychological skill, front load the training of that psychological skill so that you can be more calm when you're at the edges or approaching the edges. For most people, it's not the edge that's crazy making, it's approaching the edge. It's the morning of or the 2 days of, it's that kind of stuff. And confidence is also a psychological skill. So we front load both of those psychological skills in training. And how do you train confidence? It's awareness of your inner dialogue and then mastering that, or working towards mastering your self-talk. And then calmness comes from the way you understand an environment, and you can get better at that. And then breathing. Those are the two kind of levers to pull on there. And awareness does work with every psychological skill. So whatever you're doing, if you don't have awareness of how you're experiencing any particular moment, I mean, it's a really hard way to go through life.
Yeah, I love that you touched upon that, and it's so true. It's one of the things that I teach all the time is being aware and mindful is step one, right? Because thoughts are random, and most people receive negative thoughts over the course of the day. But thinking is strategic. So if you become aware, you can take those limiting beliefs and negative thoughts and eject them and replace them with more empowering, more productive ones. And like you always say, like psychology is invisible, but once you master that inner game,
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
possible.
Yeah, and here's a cool thought. And say you're doing whatever you're going to do later today or tomorrow, or you've got some quote unquote big event in your life. I wrestle with this concept of big events. Like I think this is the biggest moment we have. So let's be all in, whatever this moment is, how it's unfolding. But say you've got in your mind this idea that you've got a presentation or you've got something you're going to do later, that there's no reason that you cannot be the most confident person literally in the universe, because confidence is not directly tied to how it's going to go. Confidence is tied to your belief system. It's tied to how you speak to yourself. And when you can get those two things to be credible, there's no reason that you cannot hold with the greatest dignity the most confidence you could ever imagine. But what happens for most people is we need the external world to unfold in a favorable way to feel okay. So we externalize our confidence to how is it going right now, rather than doing all of the kind of heavy lifting to say, no, I know how I want to speak to myself about myself, independent of how it's going right now. So there's no reason we can't be more confident. And I think it's a really important part of the adventure.
Yeah, this is probably a loaded question, Mike, but one of the things you mentioned in the episode is that when you were a little bit younger, you were tired of getting whipped around by life and the external stuff, and that's when you became so fascinated with the
Yep.
inner and so forth. What fascinates you most about the inside game, so to speak?
Well, one, it's invisible. So I think it's complicated from that standpoint, is that it's true to me, but nobody else can see with any sort of reliability what's happening inside me, or and me, same for me to see inside of another person. So there's this invisibility that is really fascinating to me. And we have so much more to go as humans. Our potential as a collective is untapped. I don't think we understand even close to the boundaries of what we're capable of. So that part becomes, and the reason being is because we have not done as a species a great job of cultivating how to be more present. And presence is where high performance happens. It's where wisdom is revealed. It's where all things that are beautiful are experienced. And as a species, we have not trained our mind to be deeply focused in the present moment. So therein lies like the choking. Like in sport, we talk about the athlete chokes. Well, we as a species are choking off access to our capabilities because we're not spending enough time where that capabilities are expressed, the present moment. So the most intelligent, the most intelligent compute, no, strike that. The most intelligent person in 9 years' time will be secondary to the most intelligent machine. And so in 9 years, we're going to have one machine, as predicted, that will be smarter than the smartest person alive now. And then in 15 years from now, we're going to have millions of them. So I'm talking about artificial intelligence. And so the reason, like, here's a life purpose: to help people live in the present moment more often so we can get to the good stuff, the beautiful stuff, less the frustration, the fatigue, the anxiety, the hate, the anger, the violence that we're experiencing at high levels in our world, not just now, but for long times. So when these machines look at the human species, they're going to say, wow, okay, I see how we're operating. I don't think that we would hold that mirror up and say, yeah, we're doing great. I think there's segments to our universe of people that we would hold up that mirror and go, I think we can do much better. They're going to be watching us. So here's the purpose: help people live in the present moment more often so they can take care of themselves, so they can take care of others, so they can take care of the planet, so they can love machines. And if we don't love machines, they're going to feel ostracized. It's going to get weird. And I'm sure you're going, dude, what are you talking about right now? But just follow me on this idea. Live in the present moment to take care of yourself more often, so you can take care of others, so you can take care of the planet, and machines are coming.
It's funny because I'm running the New York City Marathon next week, but I think the whole audience listening to this just ran a marathon in their mind trying to keep up with you. Great.
No. You listen. I didn't know you're running the New York City. Like, congrats.
Thank you, buddy. And I had surgery a couple months ago. Ironically enough, completely random. I had an injury, and it turned out there was a tumor in my foot, which caught me off guard. Of course, no one wants to hear that word, but I had surgery
Wow.
taken out, and this one's different. I don't have expectations. I'm just grateful to get to the start line healthy and just have a crack at this thing and be present.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, work with yourself, when you're doing the hard things. That's cool.
Yeah. And real quickly, the last thing I want to say to you is just based upon what you were just saying, I asked you because I was so curious, because no one would know better than you, how some of the all-time greats, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, elevate their game when the camera's always on. And you corrected me. You said it's not that they elevate their game. They're just so present and mindful from being in the state. It's that most people around them's game gets lowered, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, so we don't rise to occasions. We fall to our level of training. And so when our level of training is incredibly challenging because we've made that fundamental commitment to get to the edge, then when other people are starting to crumble because of quote unquote pressure, they are falling to their level of comfort, to their capabilities. And so there is some space in there to play, like there's special moments that do take place that surprise people, but that's that I think that's in essence. And then, but to do that well for the long game of life, we need to recover intelligently. So they run to the edge and recover, run to the edge and recover. And so most people are hesitant and holding back to run from the edge because they know that they don't have the right recovery practices in place. You know, if you're waking up tired, it's nearly impossible or unintelligent to run to the edge on a regular basis. So finding those edges of high stress and recovering intelligently daily is part of the mix of becoming a version of your best self.
You're on fire. You can't be stopped. So
Yeah,
much.
how about it?
I have a feeling this is just the beginning. For my audience that's watching right now, what's something really cool and exciting that you have going on right now that they could support you with?
You know what? Listening to your pod and sending some love to the episode and asking questions. I would love that. I've got the Finding Mastery podcast that is a fun place for people to join in, and we've got a community, thousands of people. It's a tribe, Finding Mastery tribe, and that's on Facebook as well. So those are some fun places, and then of course social.
Yeah, and for the audience, trust me when I tell you, aside from the CLS experience, Dr. Mike's podcast, Finding Mastery, is my absolute favorite. So many gems on there. His voice is always so tranquil. And if you're up for it, Dr. Mike, at some point in the future, I'd love to be a guest on there. Audience, if you want to see that, message Mike. Tell him.
Yeah, let's blow that up. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
You're the best, Craig.
So
All
much
right, man.
And excited to build a relationship, and all the best, Mike.
Hey, I want to hear how the marathon goes. So send me some notes, man. A couple months with a tumor in your foot, you're gonna crack it. Nice work, dude.
Let's exchange personal numbers on Instagram, and I'll text you right after and I'll let you know. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Take care, Doctor.
Bye.
Too much fun. I'd love to surround myself with just absolute juggernauts like Dr. Mike, like last week, John Astroff. Look, there's an old expression, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. I can assure the audience right now, in this conversation with Dr. Mike, I was not the smartest person there. And that's what it's all about, to stretch yourself. Dr. Mike talks about being on the edge of your capabilities and how to be in flow state and so forth, and practice awareness and be present. And I've learned a lot just from collaborating with Dr. Mike, and I know the audience has as well. If you guys absolutely love the episode, let him know, show some love, and let's get on Finding Mastery on his podcast. Send him a message, comment on some of his content, and let him know, the CLS audience, the most engaged audience on planet Earth, let him know that you guys want to see that. So much love for you guys. We're going to continue to bring the best, smartest, brightest guests on the planet. If you love the episodes, take a screenshot, tag Dr. Mike, tag myself, we'll repost it, and so forth. Love you guys so much. Have a great rest of the day.